I keep forgetting to change that intro page there. It keeps saying 8 a.m. It is not 8 a.m. It is 9 p.m. Eastern. This is Coffee with the Cowbell DECAF edition. I got my coffee. It's decaf. This is Coffee with the Cowbell. Hello, everyone out there, all the Teams fanatics who are joining me in the evening prior to bed to geek out with me on some team stuff. So happy you're here, joining from one of five platforms that I am multi-streaming to. So wherever you're joining from, welcome. If you're in the chat, give me a hello. Would be cool. But also just let me know if you got any questions or anything you came here hoping I might talk about or answer. I'm happy to pivot, happy to take those questions. I am trying to monitor chat. We'll see how successful I am with that. Outside of that, I'm realizing there's always something for me to talk about. There's always a topic that seems to come up in the very week of these sessions. So I do got a couple that came up this week, even as early as yesterday. So we'll talk through a couple of them. And let me switch over first. So, and again, if you're in the chat, hit me up with whatever, and I will help out. And I actually already got this meeting going. I was actually trying to, I was doing some checking on, trying to get multiple personas in here. If you've watched previous sessions, sometimes I have tips related to meetings and managing large meetings. Well, it's not as effective to give those tips when I only have like 2 people in the room. So I was going for 10, but I stopped it at 4. Anyway, at some point I will try to hit that 10 because I want the large gallery to show up, and I can start showing things related to that. Anyway, that's not why I really came in here. I came in here, one, to show something that I was just using just earlier today. And let me see if I can simulate it. So I need one of these personas to share some content. So let's have Adele here. Share her screen. Whoa. No, share a window. Let's go with a window. Let's go with that. Okay, she's going to hit share. And then on my side, we're seeing the share, which is got this really big effect that I hadn't intended, but whatever. What let's see, where am I now? I got too many personas. I'm a little confused, but hopefully you're not. We're in my persona and kind of ignore the little inception thing going on there. But the pop out, I just wanted to make sure people knew about that. Popping out the content here. So the stuff that Adele is sharing is now in its own window, which means my window could now be dedicated to everything else. Right. So 2 separate windows now for that. And one might ask, why would I do that? And on a single screen, like your laptop screen, maybe the value's not there quite as much. I don't know. Let's say even on a single screen, popping that out lets me make it a little small and lets me have the 2 windows. Maybe I can go back and forth, but the main attraction here is to be able to come back and see these. Now, it's not as interesting to look at this when they're just the profile bubbles, but if these were live video feeds, I might want to be able to continue to see everybody's video feed in addition to the content. So that's one thing. And then certainly if you have, like in my case, this is a big deal for me because this means I can put the content on one of my 4 screens and dedicate that screen to the content while I do everything else on the other one, including managing stuff here. Because of course, what do we do in this window? I mean, we're looking at video feeds, we're probably looking at participants, and we're probably looking at chat. So to still have all that available to us is nice. So if you never noticed that button, of course, you just click it to close it and it's back, and then pop out is there. Okay. So if you didn't notice that or didn't know what that is, that's what that is. When I use that, the other thing I thought about was another feature that's relatively new. So here I am. This happens to be a channel meeting that me and all these people are in, and you may have noticed this is a subtle little feature, but this is now able to be popped out. Why would I want to pop this out? In this case, only because then it gives me a dedicated view of the chat here. This is the same chat that if I went to the meeting itself is here. So now on this one, I don't have to take up space for chat. Close that. I potentially don't have to take up space for content. So I pop that out. So now this is dedicated to my video feeds. This one's dedicated to the shared content. And I've got a window over here, over here, dedicated, where'd it go? Dedicated to the chat. And again, on one screen, this is crowded and maybe not useful. But if you've got even 2 screens and could like throw a couple of these side by side on another screen while you're looking at the main one, this then becomes more valuable. And of course, more than 2 screens. Each of these could have a dedicated screen for the chat, for the content, and for everything else. Which, if this was a large meeting with a lot of video feeds, being able to throw this on a dedicated screen and see 10 or 20 video feeds at once could be useful. So I'd say all that to say these are very, very subtle features, but when used correctly and with the right setup, they can have a lot of value there. And the reason I brought it up and thought about it is because this is what I did this week with a meeting that I was in. So hope that helps. Let me close that, bring that back into the main one. I can close this here. This having chat in its own window from the meeting, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a preference because I can open it here or I can have it here. It's just a preference. So let me, let's see. Okay. I think I'm good there. Yep. All right. There. Cool. So let's stop the sharing here and go back to a regular meeting. All right, cool. So hopefully that was cool for any multi-monitor folks out there. Hopefully that's very cool. If you want more multi-monitor tips, I do have a session I did here on the coffee related to multi-monitors with Teams. So you can search the channel coffee, aka.ms/coffee for Teams. You can search for multi-monitor with Teams or something like that. Anyway, so hopefully that was useful. Now, the other thing that came up this week that is useful, that I'm finding while it's been out there a while, people aren't necessarily up to speed on how to do it, is polls and quizzes in a meeting. It's been there a while. Some of the nuances of it are a little bit new, but let's do that. It's very easy, and in fact, it's got a lot of capabilities there. So we want to talk about that. It comes in a couple of flavors, and let's see. Let's go here. Let me see. Actually, where are we? Let's get out of here because I think it might be because I'm in a channel meeting. So we're going to leave this. I'm going to close that. And we are going to fire. By the way, channel meeting is a meeting happening in a channel. You can tell that a meeting's going on in this channel because of the little camera there. So that lets me know one of the channels in my team has got a channel meeting. If I click there, you'll see obviously all the channel content, but you'll see there's the channel going on there. How many people are in this meeting? Or, well, maybe not how many or who's in this meeting. I can kind of see the bubbles. Of course, there was a lot of people that would eventually roll up into another one, but I can see who's in there. If they were chatting, I would see that showing here. And you can see this join button just stays there throughout the whole channel. So channel meetings for your inner team, very useful. Some additional capabilities that a typical or standard meeting don't have, you get with that channel meeting concept. All right. But anyway, what I wanted to do though was fire up a new standard meeting. So we'll start this and join this. All right, so we got a more standard meeting. To show what I need to show, I'm not going to bother about bringing people in. We were talking about polls and quizzes, or or surveys, or whatever you want to call it. Let's call it polls in a meeting. So if people are in this meeting and I wanted to put a poll in, there's a couple ways. Let me see. I think so this is one way, but I don't want to go that way. Sorry. So I'm going to go with the apps button up here. And it's going to think about it. And I am going to search for poll, and it says polls, right? Just as an example, there two came up, right? Polls is the native one. Poly is a third party one, and very popular for polls as well. I could go with either of these, right? There are multiple ways to do polls. Some are third party, some are native, but I'm going to go with this one. And I want to add polls into this meeting. It's saying its thing. I'm going to hit save, and it has created a tab in the meeting and an interface for me to start to fire up some polls. Now, me doing this, nobody in the meeting has seen anything yet. They have no idea what's going on. They might, if they were paying attention, they might see I guess they would see the tab up here. But I have not published anything yet. Now, there are some examples here kind of ready to go. And in fact, I'll use it. Let's say I did want this "How are you feeling today" poll. Okay. I'm going to click on it. And let's say maybe I wanted to, instead of "How are you feeling," how do you like the coffee for teams sessions? All right, so I want to save it. I'm still not ready to push it out to the meeting yet, so I would save it as a draft. Okay, you see it's thinking about it over here, and it is now a draft, unpublished, ready to go. And as you can imagine, I can queue up several polls here ready to go. This is what I did in a real meeting this week. As we were talking, I was coming up with polls that I could would want to show throughout the meeting, and I just had them ready to go at the appropriate time. When is the appropriate time? Maybe when there's a pause in the conversation. Maybe when the speaker, if it's you or someone else, actually says time for a poll. At the appropriate time, then I would launch it. And so let's launch it. You can see even for me, it's showing up. It's a pop-up, but this is what everyone in the meeting would see as well. It would pop up right in front of them, as well as I'm clicking chat up here, as well as it's going to show up in their chat window for them. They can interact with this in either way. And the results are ready to show as well. So I'll go ahead and say good and hit submit. Again, this is the other users in the meetings are going to get the same experience, and you'll see that the results there are instantaneous, but everybody's able to see the results as they come in. So if there was a lot of people in this meeting, obviously these bars would just start firing up. and then they just close that to go back to being able to see the content and whatnot. Again, they can do the same thing in here. Again, it's continuing to see what's up. I apparently changed my vote, and it reflected that. But the polls in a meeting are as easy as that. Okay. So that's kind of ad hoc during the meeting. You could fire this up and have them. I didn't even plan it, but hopefully you saw how easy that was, even if it's not planned. What about if it's planned? Prior to the meeting, I want to just have these polls ready. If I come out to the chat in this case, you'll see that there is a dedicated tab for the polls. If this was a scheduled meeting that hadn't happened yet at all, it would also have a dedicated tab here. And you see I have a full interface for creating those polls and of course saving them in draft form, right? So maybe even a quiz, right? Whatever my question is and my answers, blah, 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 blah. You got to mark which one is the answer, and then I can save that as a draft. So now that one's there. Again, imagine this meeting hasn't even started, but these will be in draft state, ready to go when the meeting is ready as well. Still got example content over here that I could pull from, all that good stuff. But the key here is there is a dedicated polls tab for prepping all your polls ahead of time. And I think technically you could, I could launch this now, even before the meeting, and it would show up in the meeting chat if people were paying attention. And even after, I think, again, that's assuming people are paying attention to the chat before and after the meeting. But yeah, hopefully that just shows how easy a poll can be. And again, that's native. Let me get back into the meeting here. That's native to Teams. There are other third-party apps. The other one you may have seen people use is to use Forms as a meeting poll app. And that works too. It would have its dedicated Forms tab as well. So the key there is just really just showing you how easy it is, how quick it can be. And, other than that, it does all the work for you. Okay. So those are two things that actually happened to me this week, that I thought was worth showing. I figure, I'll try to maybe even turn these into little snackable videos, because I figure, I just hear people often, even as long as polls have been out, I keep hearing folks who seem to not be familiar with how to fire one up. And I just want you to know how easy it is. So hope that was helpful. I'll let you get ready for your Friday, get some sleep. You can finish your decaf coffee, I guess. Hope this has been helpful. This has been Coffee with the Cowbell.